In Nazi Germany, Wernher von Braun's 5-2 rocket breaks every rule of physics. The first man-made object to reach space, traveling faster than sound, unstoppable by any defense. Hitler believes it will bring Britain to its knees and turn the tide of the war. In the New Mexico desert, Robert Oppenheimer's Manhattan Project races to split the atom. If they succeed, they'll unleash power equivalent to 20,000 tons of TNT in a single bomb, enough to erase entire cities in a flash of light. Both weapons promise ultimate power. Both are years ahead of their time. Both sides believe theirs will decide who wins World War II. Germany launches first. America finishes stronger. The V-2 killed 9,000. The atomic bomb killed 200,000 and ended the war in days. By 1944, Germany was falling apart. The Allies were closing in from all sides, cities were being flattened by bombers, and the once invincible Reich was cracking under pressure. Hitler demanded a miracle weapon, something that could strike back, something that would make the world fear him again. Von Braun's creation was the answer. The V-2 rocket, short for Vergeltungswaffe 2, or Vengeance Weapon 2. The V-2 was unlike anything the world had ever seen. It stood nearly 45 feet tall and could fly faster than sound. It launched into the sky with a scream of fire, disappeared into the clouds, and came crashing down its target at supersonic speed. When the first V-2 struck London, there were no sirens, no warnings, just sudden, devastating explosions. The ground shook, buildings collapsed, and terrified citizens looked up, unable to see or stop what was killing them. It was the world's first ballistic missile, a weapon from the future unleashed in the dying days of the war. But the V-2 was also a symbol of despair. It came too late to save Germany. The Allies were advancing, factories were in ruins, and Hitler's empire was collapsing from within. The rocket couldn't stop that. It killed civilians but changed nothing on the battlefield. Yet even in failure, the V-2 had done something extraordinary. It had crossed the threshold between the Earth and the stars. For the first time, humans had built a machine that could touch the edge of space. Across the ocean, another weapon was taking shape. One that would not just change war, but redefine it forever. Hidden behind the fences of secret towns like Los Alamos and Oak Ridge, thousands of American scientists, engineers, and soldiers were working on something they barely understood themselves. They called it the Manhattan Project. But what they were really building was the power of the universe itself. At the center of it was J. Robert Oppenheimer, a physicist with dark eyes and a restless mind. He wasn't a soldier either. He was a thinker, a dreamer like von Braun. But his dream was far more dangerous. His team was trying to split the atom, to unleash the energy that binds the very fabric of matter. They worked day and night, driven by one terrible fear. What if the Nazis got there first? To them, the atomic bomb wasn't just a weapon, it was a race against time. Each equation scribbled on a chalkboard, each test explosion in the desert, brought them closer to something no one had ever imagined. It wasn't just science anymore, it was destiny. In the summer of 1945, the world's first atomic bomb stood ready in the New Mexico desert. The scientists called it the gadget. It didn't look like much. Wires, metal, and mystery. On July 16th, just before dawn, the countdown began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then the desert turned to daylight. A blinding flash lit up the horizon, followed by a wave of heat that scorched the earth. The explosion rose into the air, a great mushroom of fire and smoke, towering above everything. The men watching it stood in silence. Oppenheimer whispered words from an ancient Hindu text. "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." The weapon worked. The atom had been split. Humanity had entered a new age. A few weeks later, Germany was gone. Hitler was dead. But the war wasn't over. Japan refused to surrender, so the United States made a choice, the kind that history never forgets. On August 6, 1945, the bomber Enola Gay flew over the Japanese city of Hiroshima and dropped a single bomb. In seconds, the city disappeared. Tens of thousands of people died instantly. Their shadows burned into walls. 3 days later, another bomb fell on Nagasaki. By August 15th, Japan surrendered. The war was finally over. The atomic bomb had ended one war, but started another, the Cold War, a decades-long struggle defined by fear and the threat of total annihilation. And yet, as the world stepped into this nuclear age, something strange was happening in the ruins of Germany. The Allies were scrambling to capture Nazi scientists and technology before the Soviets could. Among those scientists was von Braun. Instead of being punished for building Hitler's rockets, von Braun and his team were brought to America under a secret operation called Paperclip. Their knowledge of rocketry became the foundation of the U.S. space program. The same man who once built weapons of vengeance would now build machines of exploration. His rockets would no longer carry bombs, they would carry astronauts. 2 decades later, one of von Braun's designs, the Saturn V, carried humanity to the moon. The irony was haunting. Out of the horror of war came the dawn of the space age. The V2, born in violence, became the ancestor of every rocket that would ever leave Earth. And the atomic bomb, born from fear, became the shadow hanging over every peace treaty and every conflict that followed. Together, they marked the moment when humanity learned that knowledge could be both its salvation and its curse. Von Braun once said, the rocket worked perfectly, except for landing on the wrong planet. Oppenheimer later confessed, physicists have known sin. Both men understood that what they had built could not be undone. Their inventions reached beyond their intentions. One touched the stars, the other burned cities to ash. Today, the ghosts of both weapons remain. In the New Mexico desert, you can still visit the site where the first atomic bomb exploded. The ground turned to green glass from the heat. In museums, you can stand before the twisted remains of a V2 rocket, its metal warped but unmistakably human. These artifacts remind us of the power we hold and the danger of how we use it. The race between the V2 rocket and the atomic bomb wasn't just about winning a war. It was about what kind of world would emerge from it. The rocket showed humanity how to reach for the stars. The bomb showed how easily we could destroy ourselves. Together, they ended one era and began another, an age of science, fear, and infinite possibility. That is the story of the race for ultimate power. It began in war, it ended in fire, and it left humanity staring at the sky, wondering not what we could build next, but whether we should.